copy of the minutes and any changes or corrections to the minutes of the January 23rd regular meeting.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, it designates that I was here. I was not in attendance at that time.
You were not here.
I was not here, that's correct.
Okay, good catch. Any other corrections, changes? All in favor, or is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you. And at this time, we have a presentation of the quarterly audit. Mr. Howard.
Good evening, thank you. The report's been, a draft was sent out earlier this week. We've now finalized that everybody should have a copy. There was a Schedule A that was not distributed with the draft, but it should be in the final copy. Hopefully everybody has that. And I'll direct your attention to that Schedule A. There was a change made to it from previous formats. It had been requested at the last meeting that we separate the inpatient versus outpatient for the acute care facilities. And we were able to do that with Central Florida Health Alliance. We didn't have the information yet to do that with Waterman, and we realized that kind of late in the game. And so it's not Waterman's fault, it's ours. But hopefully we'll have that for the next quarter's report. It is interesting information, and the two far right columns, which is a percentage of total encounters that each provider is doing, and the percentage of total dollars. So you can see sort of an efficiency ratio there, and as expected, you're getting, for very small dollars, you're getting a lot of encounters at the clinics.
Any questions? Any discussion? You didn't have any questions, comments on your?
Is it possible to get average length of stay for some of these for the inpatient care system? Is that something that?
Yeah, I'm sure we can. I don't know. I don't know the exact mechanics of how we can do it, but why don't I'll look into it.
Okay, thank you.
The numbers are interesting.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, I do have a question. It's just interesting here how the community medical center for Leesburg, that is, that's a pretty high percentage there. So it looks like the two clinics that are associated with the hospitals, they seem to have higher percentages.
When you say percentages,
That percentage of total encounters,
right?
it looks like they have the most percentage of encounters.
Right. The Leesburg Clinic had 971 encounters.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Okay.
And interestingly, they've used up their allocation, and it's only half the year gone.
And they did use it up already? Okay.
I'd also like to ask a question at this point because it still seems that, and I don't know the status of the Lifestream primary care clinic, but we still have $250,000 allocated for that clinic that has not yet been used. And I'm just wondering at this point, and I don't know if it's permissible, if it's possible to reallocate those funds so that they can be used, since some of the clinics have already exhausted their funds this year.
Probably what we'll end up doing is after the June quarter, we'll see where everybody falls. That's what we did before, and then kind of reallocated it on a percentage basis, because there won't be enough money to fund all the shortages.
Right.
So I'll come in with a worksheet after your March quarter.
After the March quarter.
After the March quarter, I'll do a worksheet program, with some various scenarios.
On a percentage basis, meaning on a percentage basis based on the percentages that were allocated last time. So in this case, I think it's 84% went to the hospitals last time, is that?
Yeah, and then we'll have to look too to see if the hospitals are meeting the amounts for their letters of agreement.
Okay,
But we had to do that last year as well. We reallocated that $250,000.
Right, and I don't know that it has to be, I guess the question for Meredith, whether it has to be in the same proportion that you had originally budgeted. It seems to me that you ought to be able to direct it wherever you want.
right, and that's what I'm wondering, just because it just seems that, especially with like St. Luke's and Community Medical Care Center, as we were just discussing, they're providing indigent care at such an efficient rate that they would be able to provide care for a significant amount of patients, or more patients than otherwise. So I'm wondering if it's possible to consider that when reallocating the funds rather than just doing it based on the percentage.
Yeah, or you may want to, look at it towards the end of the fiscal year too, and even things, maybe even things out, because I think that's what we ended up doing at our last year at our September meeting. If you had an allocation and you hadn't spent it, because it was done, it was over. We took all the money and then reallocated it to other places. So I don't know whether you want me to look at that after the March numbers are in, or wait till after the June numbers are in, and that's the year end. I mean, for us, that's it. The letters of agreement are over, and then reallocate money at our.
I think we'd want to wait till the end of the fiscal year, but that'll be a discussion. Do we have any update on Lifestream?
I don't see anybody from Lifestream here.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, I don't know if they're open or not. They will see me.
We'll know more at the next meeting. Do you have any more questions?
No, and I'd just like to consider that going forward. I guess it sounds like something that we need to, it's something that we can't really take care of right now.
It's hard to take care of it right now because you make a decision tonight on what to do with this 250, and then down the road, other circumstances have come up. So, I mean, you can, if you wanted to say, all right, they're not going to use any of the 250, we're going to reallocate it. Or do you want to wait and see where these are really going to fall? Because it could be that, right now you've got only 73,000 of claims that could be paid out of that 250 if you were just going to do it that way.
So I'm moving a portion.
What's that?
Moving a portion of it.
Yeah, we could do that.
If they haven't used it, then they can use all of it. I mean, that's just.
That's right.
We're
That's
halfway through the cycle here. So, there's 125,000, it's half their allotment they haven't turned in anything for. And I do not know that situation, if they open a clinic or what they're going to do.
Could we request an update from Lifestream by our next meeting so that we know, where they stand?
Okay.
I think that would be appropriate. But we don't want the money sitting there either.
No.
Going to use.
I'd be hesitant to do any more than do here from Lifestream.
yeah. I
In
guess
my
I'm
opinion,
just not convinced that they'll actually use a full $250,000.
And neither am I.
So I'm just.
It's just they're not here. Do we have any other thoughts? let me open it up to public comment on this particular report.
My name is Van Shokum. I write a blog, fiscalrangers.com, on fiscal issues in the county. My only comment on this is I think it's a good idea from Ms. Cowell, and that probably you should have a policy for allocating it. Just as having been an observer of this, I think that since it's a clinic that is not spending the money, that you reallocate it among the clinics, and the hospitals already have a huge share. Again, and I bring that up because I believe that they provide competition in the market, and they also are pretty efficient in the number of people they serve. That's probably it. It's just they have an allocation method that you define. And I wouldn't wait until the next meeting. I'd call them this week and I'd find out what they're doing. And I would take maybe a percentage. If they don't have something in the pipeline, then find out what that pipeline is that they are working through, trying to develop the evidence. And if they have that, then allocate that portion. And if they, for instance, haven't got anything in the pipeline, and it's $250,000 in what, 6 months? Is this a 6-month report?
It's a 6 month report.
Okay, so then take half of that and allocate it now. Now, I mean, you probably can't do that now without calling them, but certainly by the next meeting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks. Okay, are there any other comments?
Yes, Chairman Henson, I'd just like to make sure that we have an opportunity to review the funding agreement that we're into with Lifestream, and particularly them doing the Lifestream primary care clinic before we vote on distributing the funds that we've already entered into an agreement to commit to.
Yes, sir.
Dan Robo from the reporter. I just want to point out, Lifestream got this money last year, and they didn't build the clinic. So, certainly if they haven't even started construction on the clinic, that's something you need to find out. If they haven't started construction, there's no way they're going to spend it. So, you need to find out whether it even exists or not.
We will know by the next meeting, it's a good point. They did request, as I recall, $500,000, we reduced it to the 250. Okay. Yes, sir.
Time's
Bill
up.
Bruns, Central Florida Health Lines. I know we're looking at the encounters, and I guess I just want to go on the record when we talk about the deficiencies of the encounters in the hospitals, that the hospitals, the patients we're treating and the symptoms and the issues that we're treating with are far more serious than what the clinic's seen. So I don't know, it's hard to compare the two. We can't, they see a lot more of those indigent people for primary care purposes, which is going to be a whole lot less. So, and originally when the districts were put in place, that was one of the things that was recognized, that we want to support the tertiary care because you need that as well. I mean, primary care is the direction the government is pushing and wanting to go forward with, which is good to try to prevent some of that care. But even while that care is being prevented, you still have those catastrophic cases that come in, and those are really the ones that you're seeing, especially I know from us, you're seeing are expensive cases because those are the ones that cost the most. And you're only paying us for costs. We're not, these are not charges. So just wanted to put that on there.
Thank you. Are there any other questions regarding the report? No. If there are none, we need an approval. Yes. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the report?
I'll make a motion to approve the report.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Is there anything else that should come before the board? No, and then if not, we do have the public business policy in accordance with the Florida state statute. Speak to that.
Yes, Madam Chair, in the last meeting, I was asked to draft a proposed public business policy. I tracked the Florida statute 286.0114 and also some of the language that has already been adopted in ordinance number 2013-54 by the county commissioners. it's certainly subject to any changes that the board so proves. This was just a rough draft and a proposed policy for your consideration.
Okay, you all have everyone has a copy. Did the public receive a copy of this?
It was posted on the website.
Okay.
I found
so
it.
Everyone has seen it. And are there any questions? Okay, everyone a chance to read it. So we need a motion to approve this policy.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, if there's nothing else to come before the board,
Just like to remind the board, the next meeting is May 22nd at 5:30, when we'll be reviewing the March audit. You will also be receiving notice, it'll be posted on the website. And if there's any,
I didn't open it up for other discussion besides that particular issue.
Dan Shokum again, just a point of information. As some of you know, I go to a lot of local campaign meetings, and I just want to let you know that District 31, which has, they have 4 people contesting for the position which could be vacant because the incumbent is termed out, and that's Florida District 31. And that person who wins that is going to be one of the Lake County delegation. Delegation is the one that created the local law that is HB 1299. And so I have the 4 leading candidates all on video saying that they are against any deferment of the vote that is called for in this HB 1299. And I thought I would just let you know that. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Okay, is there anything else? Yes, we have one comment.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Karen Berry Croson from St. Luke's Clinic. I appreciate the comments made on behalf of the clinic. Of course, you have to check with Lifestream and have a memorandum of agreement, I'm sure. But I do want to tell you that we've already used our allocation, and I'm at the point now where I will have to make a decision about staff who has to do all this paperwork in the hope that perhaps we can have some of that allocation for the next quarter. So that means from January through September, I have to do all of the considerable paperwork that's required for this particular fund, and I have no idea whether we'll be compensated for it. I just would like to note that with you all, the other clinics who have spent their allocations, I'm sure, in the same boat that we're in. The other thing I'd like to say is, in looking at our year-end report for last year, even though we have primary care and we are not as expensive and costly as hospitals, who obviously an inpatient is very costly for their charity cases. But we had 592 patients last year that reported that they would have gone to the ER had it not been for our clinic. Even if you look at the lowest average of $1,500 per person to enter into the ER, you can times it by 592 and do the math. So we do save the hospitals considerable money, even though the gentleman pointed out that it is a lot more expensive for their care. I just wanted to note that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Hi, good evening. I'm Patricia Navarro. I volunteer at St. Luke's Primary Medical and Dental Clinic. I'm also representing Dr. Jason Boardman, who could not be here today. He's the outgoing president of the Lake County Medical Society. And he asked me to request time at the next meeting for a presentation on alternatives to what we currently have in this county based on what other counties in the state of Florida have successfully done to provide care for indigent patients.
Okay. So, board have a problem with that? Okay. We'll get it on the agenda for the next meeting, and we appreciate you being here.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. there any other comments?
Mr. Chairman? Yeah. Are you finished with them,
Yes.
with the public, I
There
presume?
doesn't seem to be anyone else.
Great, I think that was a good point made there. I think these extra funds, some consideration should be given on alternative plans in case we are not, this board still is not in existence 2 years from now. I really don't know what the alternative, what the alternatives would be, but perhaps with some of these unused funds, we could discuss maybe a pilot program, or we could discuss something where, as we transition, should that happen, that we have a transition that's capable of taking us forward. I think this board has done a good job, or this district has done a good job of transitioning to the transparency which required, was asked by us, and I think I feel pretty proud to be a part of that, and I would certainly hate to see if something does happen to this building in a few years from now, to see the momentum be lost and the sacrifice of our volunteers not keeping the momentum to keep us going. And I really don't know what the alternative is. I am not in the politics at all. I surely don't want to try and change any vote out there, but I think we need to plan somewhat for contingencies in case this does. Perhaps some of these unused funds could be used in a pilot program in some form or fashion. We could convince the public, or possibly people may be interested in trying to maintain this momentum in some fashion. I don't have an alternative, but I'd like for maybe our audience and possibly our clinics to consider that in case that is, so we do have some potential of doing something else.
Any further discussion on that issue? We look forward to the presentation at the next meeting, and thank you very much. Is there any other issues from the board? If there's not, we will stand adjourned. Thank you very much.